Hello, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of Watchin' You. I'm Jeff Scott in New Brunswick, Canada, and joining me from Nova Scotia, Canada is...
Jeff Gray. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, and this morning is a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, lots of snow out.
Lots of snow, more snow where you are, but I got lots here, and but it's a beautiful day to celebrate this band.
Yeah, it is. It's February 2014. It's the 40th anniversary of what I consider to be the genesis of the band. I mean, there's going to be a lot of 40s over the next little bit. The 40th anniversary of their meeting, the 40th anniversary of their first gig, the 40th anniversary of their first TV appearance, whatever. But I think that the release of this album, the original Kiss debut album, I think to me that's the genesis. And I mean, we could get together and celebrate a lot of 40s. But for some reason, I think that this album is a little more special because I think that it makes it a little bit more real. I think it makes the band official in terms of the band, in terms of the record company, and in terms of the world. How do you feel about the record?
Well, doesn't it blow your mind, first of all, that we're sitting here 40 years after this? Think about that for a second. 40 years.
I know.
It's a huge lifetime.
It just means that we're getting older, too.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true. I mean, here I'm sitting, I'll be 54 years old this year. Yeah. And this album's been around for 40 of that. Mm-hmm. Right? Yep. So what do I think of the album? I thought about that a little bit because here we are, the 40th anniversary of it, and I didn't even know it existed until after Alive. So I was, as I said earlier, I went back to it. So I have lots of memories of it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same with me. I got Alive for Christmas when I was in grade 7, 1978, and I only had a few Kiss albums. So when on the inside of Alive, I look and I see, oh, there's some more Kiss albums. Now look at this one. Isn't this kind of strange, right? Because the makeup was different.
Everything about it was different.
Yeah, the sound.
I remember the first time I heard it.
Yeah.
I had already been as a huge, well, I mean, I guess as huge a Kiss fan as you can be, having heard 2 albums. Mm-hmm. So I had heard, I think I'd heard Alive and maybe Destroyer, but Alive for sure, and already wore that out. Yeah. But I remember being in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, however old I was, teenager. I think it was 1976. But I remember being in the basement of a friend's house with my first girlfriend and another friend and his girlfriend, and that was the first time I heard that music. And I found it really weird. No, I did, because if you think about how it sounds versus, Kiss Alive, if you're inducted into Kiss via Kiss Alive, when you go back and listen to Kiss, it's so clean and so soft, really.
Yeah. I like the sound quality of it, and I mentioned in an earlier show that I was just out for a hike recently, and that's the album I had on my MP3 player. And I just remember thinking, the guitars just had such a neat tone, especially on 100,000 Years. Ace's guitar just had this really rich tone, just a tiny bit of like a slap-back delay, not enough to really say it's a delay, but just enough to give it some space. It was a very spacey sounding guitar. That's what I found. And just a very rich tone. I thought it was a well-produced album. Probably one of my favorite Kiss albums. Because for 2 reasons. One, because of the material on it. I think some of the best Kiss material is on that album. When you consider Strutter, Cold Gin, Black Diamond, my ultimate favorite Kiss tune, Let Me Know, and then some really odd stuff like Kissin' Time and Love Theme from Kiss.
Well, I was going to say, I agree with you 100% that if you think about how much iconic material has come from that album, save those 2 specific songs, Kissin' Time, and not that I don't like them, and Love Theme from Kiss, everything else would be considered iconic for Kiss fans.
Everything else has been standard play. They play it almost, in every tour it's been played.
Well, it's
Firehouse, they're all used.
Yeah. And more so than most albums, if you think about it. If you think about the albums that came afterwards, which is just quite a few, but if you think about even the ones right after that, like Hotter Than Hell had a handful of songs off of that they became iconic. but there was a bunch on that one that were kind of like
that was never used. I mean, Mainline all the way.
Yeah. Strange Ways even.
Strange Ways. They never...
Right? Going Blind.
They never made it to a Kiss Alive is what happened.
As a result, Going Blind.
There's so much material to pick from, and they just kind of... Going Blind, they just got left by the wayside. Never now and again it resurfaces. Like, it was cool to hear Going Blind on the MTV
that was
broadcast. And that kind of came out of nowhere. We weren't expecting that. Same thing with Coming Home.
I think it makes sense, in the same thing on Dressed to Kill, there's maybe, 3 songs in there that they would have played live regular rock roll all night, Rock Bottom, She, and there's one more. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
There's one more on that album they played a lot live. But not the whole album. Like, that whole first album is, I mean, obviously it makes sense. I mean, you think about people's initial album, it's almost always their strongest material.
It is,
because everybody goes through they go through the sophomore jinx and things like that afterwards, right? Exactly. But they didn't really do that.
Yeah, everything on that album would have come from really a lifetime of learning music, honing their craft, and writing songs. I mean, a song like Black Diamond could have been in Paul's head for 10 years until it made it to vinyl. Whereas something like Calling Dr. Love, we know that was scratched out on a hotel memo pad and was ended up on an album. I think that later on the songwriting had to be more processed, more assembly line. Get it done and get it onto vinyl.
That first album was very much an attempt, I think, to be Beatlesque.
Beatles with some edge to it, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And also bear in mind that the material on that album would have been pounded and pounded and pounded as they hit the road. They were out on tour. Also, even before the album came out, they were playing live. That was the material that was pretty much in their repertoire for a good, I don't know, year, how many months until they had Hotter Than Hell material. But I think that's why so much of the material on there has been a Kiss staple right through the decades. Starter, Cold Gin, Firehouse just gets played and played.
I just remembered the other one for Dressed to Kill. It was Come On and Love Me. That was the other one they played on a lot.
Yes, yeah. So, what do you think of the album cover? We've discussed this in our very first episode, album covers.
I mean, yeah, I've kind of said that. I liked it. I mean, I think I got to say, like, again, I looked at it from the perspective of that I'd seen everything, a lot of material subsequent to that, and then went back and found that album cover. So it was kind of neat. I mean, it was probably the most, I don't know, I guess the most in your face kind of, no pun intended, but very, it's like you were really sitting in front of them as opposed to a photo that had been really doctored a lot.
Yeah.
There's certainly no Photoshop. It's like, wow. So you can really see the lines and edges of their faces and who they were as people.
Yeah. Again, it always puzzled me as to why Peter Criss looked the way he did, and puzzled me for decades until I just wasn't interested in being puzzled anymore. And I guess at some point somewhere I read that they had brought in a professional makeup artist, and I guess the guys were so good at doing their makeup at that time that they just, Peter Criss, I think he felt bad that they brought in someone, had paid someone for the day, so he said, I'll sit down and you can do my face. And whoever it was, the other thing that surprises me is that the band as a whole didn't step up and say, well, that's not the way he's supposed to look. That's not his makeup design.
They probably, well, at that stage, they just were probably happy to be shooting a cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who are they to say? And he was probably upset because of the way his makeup looked. I mean, wouldn't you be upset if your makeup looked like that?
And the other thing that surprises me is why they didn't give the makeup artist a photo and say, well, here's his makeup design, or at least describe it as they were doing it. It's so different from his usual makeup design.
Yeah.
The other thing that got me, too, was, not got me, but the thing I found interesting, or a little bit not surprised, the thing that surprised me is that where that makeup design appeared on that album, they didn't look at it and say, well, now it's official, you're going to have to stick with that. He abandoned it immediately. I don't think there's any other photo shoots or any other live stage appearance where he uses that makeup design.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things were developed subsequent to that. I mean, over the costumes, the slight changes within the makeup, and we've documented that before. Changes with Ace Frehley's makeup, the changes with Gene's makeup, especially in the later years, in terms of the, lengthening out the bat wings and all those kind of things. So I don't know. I don't think you can read too much into those early stuff. It's simply, if you try and think, if you or I were in that band back then, right now, you and I, would we not just be simply like really happy that we're signed to a label,
exactly,
and someone's taking our pictures, and we wouldn't, in our age, we'd probably be smart enough to think about it, but at that age, we'd probably just be so happy to be having it happen in the first place.
And someone else is calling the shots. Bill Cohen, Neil Bogart, they were calling the shots. Even the makeup artist was probably calling the shots. She probably said, "Well, I like your design, but I think I can do it better." And they probably said, "Okay." But again, it does bother me, because to me it's not, it's Peter Criss, but to me it's not his design. And for them to allow that on the first album cover, I just find it kind of wonky.
I don't know. I think, I wouldn't, like I said, I think there's so many things that would have been going on at that time. I think the biggest thing for me when we thought about this 40th anniversary of this album was it made me reflect upon how the band, how much the band has impacted me as an individual and as a guitar player, and as a person who loves music.
The other interesting thing too is that if you look at Ace's hair, he almost looks like he could be blonde, and we know that they were all dark-haired men. He took a can of car spray paint, and he spray painted his hair silver because he really wanted to come across as that, silver spaceman. And he said, "I'll just wash it out after," and it didn't. It didn't wash out, so it basically had to wear out and grow out. Yeah. But it's interesting.
Well, it'd be a good time. Yeah, it'd be a good time for people to go back and take a look at our very first episode, right, which was album covers.
Yes, our first. The technical production at that time was iffy, but we did launch. We had to start somewhere. Everything has a genesis, right? So just like Kiss's first album cover, how different and how far along they came. I mean, look at the work that went into, say, the Destroyer or Love Gun album covers, to hire an artist to sit to do. Well, to hire a photographer to do a photo shoot, and then hire an artist to sit down and do this amazing Marvel-esque comic book style artwork. I don't know what they paid.
You can't help yourself.
I don't know what they paid Joel Brodsky for the day, whatever they pay a photographer. Actually, I googled Joel Brodsky, the photographer for the first album, and he did quite a lot of album covers, quite significant ones. There was Doors, and can't remember now. He did a lot of album covers. Yeah.
You like album covers?
Well, I find the album cover is as much a part of the art as the album. And that's changing. That's a changing thing, because today I think with modern technology, people are downloading their tunes. They're never seeing an album cover. They could go to a person's website and see photo shoots and things like that. But I thought it was kind of neat when we were kids, when we get these albums, and you had a 12 by 12 piece of artwork in your hand. And it was interesting. I thought album covers were very interesting. So
this band has been in your life for not 40 years, right? But but not much less time than that. So I saw you posted a picture on East Coast Kiss Tribute Facebook page the other day of Ace and his impact on you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the band, because right now I think a lot of Kiss fans are reflecting upon, will be reflecting this year in terms of what this band meant to them.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, 40 years since this album, how would you characterize their impact on you?
It had its biggest impact when I was a kid, because I was around 12 years old and just hitting puberty. What I needed was something really exciting and big in my life, and I didn't understand the music as well as I do today. At the time, Peter Criss was my hero, because I had a drum kit and I was taking drum lessons. So he was a drummer in the band and I was a drummer, so Peter Criss was my hero. Then I realized that Paul Stanley was a lot cooler than Peter Criss, so Paul Stanley was my hero, And then decades later, I learned to play the stuff on guitar and had a whole new appreciation for Ace. So, I think Ace Frehley really is my hero of the band. There's no doubt about it. The impact that it's had, again, it was huge when I was a kid, but it's just as big today. I mean, I do a talk show based on Kiss. You can see the wall behind me. It's you know, it's just Kiss. There's just so much of it present. And I have so many other hobbies. I mean, I just don't live and breathe Kiss all the time, but it is something. In terms of music, I think there's no other iconic band. Yeah, sure, there's Beatles and Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, but I think Kiss are iconic in a completely different way. And I just love the artwork. I love the imagery. I love the shows. It's just a fun band. There's no, for me, there's no other band that's as much fun to be a fan of. So what's it mean to you?
Well, for me, as you were talking, I was thinking about it, and it turned out to be the perfect storm for me. The compilation of power, energy, theatrics, image, all of that culminated into Kiss Alive for me, which led me down the path. So as I think about it, and I think about all the music that I had just started listening to hard music at that point in time, but they had everything. The beauty is in the delivery and in the presentation, and they were the perfect recipe for that. Now it's obviously impacted me in my future endeavors. It's obviously something that I really enjoy, which is the look of the band, the energy of the band. I mean, I look at the bands that I've subsequently, I've said it before, the bands that I've listened to today, really all kind of emulated that kind of stuff, and had some elements of theatrics and power and aggression and musicianship and showmanship, and some care around image. I don't think if I was in a band that I would take my image lightly. Like, I really can't stand watching bands. Honestly, I really think when I see bands that don't really try, they go out with t-shirts and maybe some shorts on and flip-flops, and they're playing a live concert for people. I'm thinking, you're just not putting any effort into it, and they put so much effort into it, and it's well known how hard they worked. But that was, they were a working class band.
Oh yeah, and there's a fine line between putting effort into it and not imitating Kiss. I'll just give you an example. When Motley Crue came out on the scene, Kiss were kind of, they were waning. It was 82, 83. They were ready to take the makeup off. Now, Motley Crue was this big thing, and they had the leather, the long hair. They even had some makeup on their faces. So I remember a buddy of mine was commenting. He said, well, they're just Kiss imitators. And I thought, yeah, it's true enough. And then Twisted Sister comes along. Look at how much effort they put into their image. You could compare them back to Kiss. Kiss really were, and in a way, they were almost imitating Cooper, because Cooper was using some stage makeup. At what point in time do you say, well, if we put way too much effort into costume and whatever, at what point in time do we become too much like Kiss? And I'm just talking about hard rock and heavy metal acts. I mean, you look at the Spice Girls. I often compare Spice Girls to Kiss because they had these individual personas. They worked on the costume, the image. To me, they were a female Kiss. They really were. Yeah.
Well, Kiss did that. I think they did it to emulate the idea of the Beatles, but there's so many bands subsequent to them. I don't know if it was because of them, but there's so many formulaic bands out now where, we've got to have four. We got to have, if you look at the female bands, we've got to have four females. Okay, one's got to have dark hair. One's got to have red hair. One's got to be a blonde. One should be non-Caucasian of some sort, right? And et cetera, et cetera. And the same thing with the boy bands. Okay, have the cute blonde guy, the guy, what I mean, the macho guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on. They want different types. And you can see in the marketing, I mean, the big thing now with the kids is this One Direction. And you still there, John?
Yeah, I'm here.
They've made action figures. My girls go to the toy store and they pick up these action figures. And sure, these guys have to look different, or the action figures wouldn't work. It was easy to do the Kiss action figures because they had the makeup. And I've often said Kiss is the easiest band to do a tribute act. Right, because you can get four guys who look nothing like Kiss, and you can, with the wig and makeup and costume, they're going to look like Kiss. It's easy to do. I'm a little bit harder when I look at a Kiss tribute band because I know their faces so well. And I remember when Black Diamond were on the go, I met the guys afterwards, and I said to the drummer, I said, "You look so much like Peter Criss," and he did. He looked an incredible amount like Peter Criss. So there's that. Well, we should wrap up soon, but getting back to the original album, is there anything you'd change about the original album, or for you, does it exist as the perfect art form?
Well, I don't think anything's perfect, but I think it's redundant to think about whether there's nothing that I would change about anything that they've done at this stage. Honestly, even the stuff I don't like, whatever that might be, take your pick. I go, I really wouldn't change anything. It is what it is. They did what they did. Their successes are a result of their failures.
That's right. I mean, you can't criticize anything they've done, can you?
No. I've had, I guess the song we've made the most fun of on that album is "Love Theme" from Kiss. Yeah. And but I got to be honest with you, I bought a loop station there a while back, and did I ever have fun with that song? Doing the first part, then doing the second part, then add another part, and then actually letting the thing keep playing. I went and go playing the drums with it, right? So even that, to this, I mean, at the time, I remember going like, where is this coming from? I just thought it was a joke, really. But intentionally, I thought they were just kind of making a joke. But would I change it? No. I mean, I'm glad it exists. I mean, I'm glad all those things that you and I make fun of over the years, like "Then She Kissed Me" and all these kind of things. Yeah. I'm glad they're there to contrast them with some of the other things that they've done, right?
Yeah. I actually like "Love Theme" from Kiss. I don't like the title; it's kind of wonky. I think they could have put any title on it, right? They had a song when they were really early out called "Acrobat," and for some reason it got dropped. But I mean, you could have put any little song title on that. I enjoy it, and what surprises me is that they've never played it live. Now, we know that they're looking for material that they can pull off live because Paul is having challenges on stage. To me, "Love Theme" from Kiss would be the perfect thing to add in there because you don't need a singer, right? The musicianship is there. I'm sure Tommy Thayer could pull it off. It's got some really cool bass runs. I know Gene could play it on the bass.
Oh, yeah,
I think fans would just eat that up because...
Can you imagine? Imagine this for a second.
It hasn't been used. It hasn't been played since 1974.
Imagine this. Imagine you go to a Kiss concert, okay, and they get everything's black.
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh, right, Halifax, St. John, Budokan, whatever. You are the best. You got the best. Not as bad in the world. Kiss." And then they start playing "Love Theme" from Kiss, exactly. and they just saunter in one at a time from the shadows
really cool.
into a spotlight.
Wearing the hotter than hell costumes.
Oh my God, would that be
with the candelabra?
Think how stupid that sounds, but how cool it would be.
It would be, and you know what? This is the kind of thing that they could do as a publicity stunt. Not on tour, but just like, we've made an appearance that no one's expecting. Invite in about 500 people in some kind of hall.
Yeah,
come out and do that. It'd be a great publicity stunt.
Yeah. It's creativity, and so no, I wouldn't change anything. And it's been a great 40 years. I mean, I bitch and moan about some things about the band, but at the end of the day, they absolutely were the most and have been and continue to be the most influential band that's ever been for me.
Yeah. For me, I like everything on the album. I don't like the way Black Diamond fades out into are slowing down the tape. Other versions of Black Diamond are much like the live version and the double platinum version. Are certainly have a more exciting ending. The double platinum version actually comes back to the acoustic guitar, and then they go 1, 2, 3, hit it, and then it fades out. It's interesting that they added "Kissin' Time" later. It wasn't on the original pressing, and I think if anybody has an original pressing without "Kissin' Time," that's sort of a rare album. Something else I would change, I've made comments before that I thought that if earlier albums had pictures of them in full costume on stage, I think it would have worked better for them. Like the Kiss Alive album cover really should have appeared earlier because it shows their stage, it shows what they look like, their costumes, the full outfit. You don't even see guitars on the first album. The other thing too, the back album, it's pretty much empty, and all the credits are in these sort of curved, weird little semicircles, which is kind of weird. But to me, that was a waste of space. That back cover could have been such an excellent space to feature live concert shots of the band.
Yeah,
almost like when you look at that booklet in Kiss Alive, when you open it up, you get that collage of all those shots of them live. To me, that should have been on the back cover of the first Kiss album, because really the album cover itself doesn't really show enough of who the band is and what they're all about. So I think that the back cover was wasted space. All you get is the Kiss logo, but you get that on the front. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, like I said, for me, at that point where it came into play, it was almost. That album certainly didn't create any fame for them. They leveraged that album once they created fame. I mean, other than the material they created, that they were able to leverage in other ways and going forward.
I think there's very few people that have that bought that album as a new release. Mm-hmm. I think most people who have that album bought it as an afterthought as a response to Kiss Alive. You know, by 1978, I was a diehard Kiss fan. So if it appeared in the music store, I was going to buy it. So when that album appeared on the shelves, I brought it home. You know. Just speaking of that, if you read Ace Frehley's memoir, have you read that one?
No.
It's great. He's talking about when the first album came out,
mm-hmm.
and he went to Kmart or Walmart, whatever store was close to him. He walked in several times looking for it, and on the third or fourth visit, he went in, and there it was, the album cover. He just wanted to see his face on an album in the store. And he picked it up, and he went to the counter, and he paid for it with his own money.
Oh, really?
And I thought, that's cool, being such a diehard Kiss fan and being so goo-goo gaga over this band. I just stopped and reflected on that, and I had this little image. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to just go back in time and be there at that moment? Ace Frehley, young Paul Frehley,
that's right.
Walks into Kmart and buys his album, looking at his face on it. I said, there's a little moment in history right there. I thought that was so cool.
Well, that shows. This speaks to what we were saying earlier about how, you got to go back. However you frame this album in history, you have to go back and remember where they were at the time when they did it, and what the circumstances were at that time, and it was much different. You can't compare. Well, they wouldn't put out that kind of production value today, or anywhere. Even 3 or 4 albums later, they weren't going to do that. So,
and that's what's kind of cool about it, is that it was done on a budget, and everything on it is organic. There's nothing digital. There's no photoshopping. It's what it is. It's real. It's much more organic. Why
do you have one of those?
A what, a guitar?
Yeah, no. Why do you have one of these?
A Les Paul.
Yeah.
You should ask why I have 4 Les Pauls.
Well, why did you have your first one?
Because of Ace Frehley.
Absolutely. No doubt. That's why I have one.
Yeah. I
would have another guitar, I guarantee you, if somebody else was influencing me.
Yeah, I saw an Iceman at the music store yesterday. $325. I should have bought it. It was a black Ibanez Iceman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need any more guitars, but I could use an Iceman.
No, you could lend a few to me for a while.
Well, there you go. Well, you know what? One of my Les Pauls is at Dennis Hunt's house. I just got no room. He's got my Marshall stack and one of my Les Pauls.
Oh, what is it doing there?
He wanted another guitar to round out his studio sound. So I said, look, take a guitar, take an amp, and have it. And I've got at my other jam space, I've got a guitar and an amp left. I've got a guitar and an amp at school, so I can use it there. And I still got this corner in the back of the den just full of guitars. I don't know what to do with them all. If you want an extra Les Paul, just come pick one up.
Well, I would.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send it down on the bus.
Yeah, because I still have your promo package hostage.
Well, there you go. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, that's our tribute to this monumental debut album by Kiss on February 18th, 2014, and that's all I have to say about that. Any last words there, Jeff?
Yeah, I would say thank you, Gene. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ace. Thank you, Peter. And thank you to everybody who's contributed to the band subsequent to the original 4. It's been a pleasure being influenced by all of you. And I know they won't see this, but it has been a pleasure, and it's really impacted me as an individual. So nothing but positive vibes on this one. And thank you. And I'd like to say here's to another 40, but that would not make a lot of sense.
No. You know what? You never know with Kiss. They'll probably pump another 40 out of it in some way or another.
Come out on the wheelchairs.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, wheelchairs and ramps are coming.
So we hope you join us on our next topic of Watching You, our next regular episode. I'm not sure what our next topic is, so some night, Jeff, we'll get on the phone and discuss what we're going to do next.
Probably going to be Kiss album covers.
We've done that.
Twice.
We've got 2 editions of that one.
All right. I'm just kidding.
You know what we should do, Jeff? We should do a show on those little labels, a little round label on the inside of the album. You know? There's a topic. Okay, this is Jeff Scott in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada.
And Jeff Gray in Stewiacke, Nova Scotia, Japan.
Yeah. We'll see you next time on Watching You.
Good day.